Let me share my screen. All right, can you all see?
Yep.
Cool. So this is Illustrator. All right, we're gonna open a new document. This should be popped up pretty much as soon as you open it. We're gonna use inches. Obviously you can do pixels, where you're just gonna do something big. So like 36 by 24. If you're doing anything for print, you're gonna wanna do a bleed, and usually standard is like a 1/4 inch. I don't know if you guys do any print work. You're probably more digital, so you don't have to worry about that. And y'all know the difference between RGB and CMYK, right?
I know it means red, green, blue.
Yes, it does. Okay, so RGB, this is like the color spectrum that you design in for web, because web you can do more colors. So it's red, green, blue. There's lots of graphics and stuff about it. But CMYK are the colors of ink in a printer, and that's what you use for print design, because printers have, they can't do like super neon colors like RGB can. We're digital, we're doing RGB. We'll do 300. You can play with those settings all day long, and then just make your artboard. Okay, and here it is. So let me just go away. Guess I cannot. Okay. Everything's in my way. Okay, so top right, you see a little window with a little sidebar up here. These are the different workspaces you can do. If you work in automation, you would obviously pick that, and it will change, obviously, what your panels are. Essentials is pretty much Essentials. Essentials Classic is the one I use the most, just because it's the most showing. So that's the one we're going to use, is Essentials Classic. That's pretty much that. So RGB, CMYK, we got that. Okay, so here's your swatches. These are there all the time, always. If you want, you can obviously add stuff, like if you just draw a shape, and you can go to this little panel here. Everybody has that, right? If you're following along. So there's your RGB sliders. All the way to the left is going to be black, and all three to the right is going to be white. And then you can play, obviously, with whatever. You can see the hex codes change here. So if you have like a specific hex code, like 22222 is like a dark gray, you can just type it in and it will adjust the sliders for you. So you can do that too.
I feel like my layout looks different than yours. Like I did put Essential Classics, but it's I don't have a slider. I have the eyedropper. Like I don't know.
Okay, so then to get this, you're gonna go up at the top bar where it says window. This is everything you would ever need, every window you would ever use. And so for color, you can see that's the one you want right there. I have it checked. So just check color and make sure you have appearance, make sure you have layers, make sure libraries, I guess, but we won't really do much with that. Make sure you have Pathfinder, make sure you have swatches, and make sure under type that you have character.
Okay.
You got all those?
I am doing it right now. Sorry.
Oh.
I don't want to take that long, so.
Take them. It's important that you have all these, so get them.
Okay. So, location. Ooh. Okay. It's just like when I switch from Zoom to like the application, it's just like I have to.
Gotcha.
Can you see Zoom and also like, is there a way to see Zoom and Illustrator at the same time?
I mean, just if you, I think, like resize each window, to be like a half screen. But then it's like, I don't know how big your screen is, and that might be more annoying.
Yeah, I'm just because I keep going back and forth, and I think that's kind of like disorienting.
Okay. You do.
I think I have most of it. Clears.
How about get these, and then you can watch, and I'll tell you when it's like something that I would want you to do.
Library. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I think I got everything now.
Cool. Okay, so that's your color panel. You can play with those colors all day long. And if you ever wanted to like, say I really like that that black right there, I would just drag it and drop it, and it would show up in my swatches. So like for anything, say I wanted this lovely puke color, I could just drag that down, and now it's in my swatches. Another thing, so if you do print or web, you might work with some Pantone colors. And so in your swatches panel, it's the very left thing that looks like books with a drop down. You're gonna go to color books, and it depends on what you're doing. For print, it's a lot of CMYK coated, or you want this Pantone solid coated. So you click that, and you get this panel. And that is all the Pantone colors. So if you click it, you can see up in your color thing, that's Pantone 199. That is Pantone 7656C. So if you're working with specific numbers, it's like 299, I'm making it up. But like there it is, that's 299, and this one is apparently 2995. So that is where you get your Pantone colors. You can go through, like cycle through the arrows, if I got rid of that. And just see like there's solid uncoated, solid coated, so you can kind of see the difference. Pantone premium metallics, pastels, all this stuff you can just play all day long in there, and it's fun. So that is that exists. Okay, the other thing, so here's my cool square. Y'all saw gradients in XD, same thing here. It's this little guy right here, it looks like a gradient, so we're gonna go there now. I'm gonna click that, and it automatically goes to black and white. You can just click, maybe, okay. And it will show your swatches panel, or you can choose like a slider. And if you want that to be an RGB slider, click there.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So, what is one thing you would use Illustrator over like over like Figma or Adobe XD? Or
So
like,
they're XD and Figma are for combining the assets into a layout. Illustrator is for creating those assets.
oh, got you. So it's more like creating graphics and.
Mhm.
Okay, got you.
Yep. So I guess, I mean, we'll get there. Hang on, Deacon is like, oh yeah. Okay. Okay, so then you can change your gradient, whatever, you can do all that. Up at the top here, you can see this is a linear gradient. You can change it to radial, and you can change it to, I think that's like, this one I don't use a lot because I just use mesh, but you can make crazy things with this. Let's see. I don't care for it, so I'm just gonna stick with my linear right now. But the cool thing in Illustrator that you cannot do is in the Oval Office. You can make a gradient on a stroke, and you can make it look really cool. So let's say I want to do this exact same gradient. I'm just gonna click it, but I want to flip it. So I want the purple to be on the black side and the black to be on the purple side for the stroke. So I'm just gonna hit this right here. That will just flip it. And then you should probably make it bigger so you can actually see what's going on. You can see how that looks now. So you can do gradients on strokes. Zoom in. Another cool thing with gradients in Illustrator, my brain is all over the place, is you can change them. So I'm back in my gradient thing. You can see this one right now is set like this, and it won't let me change it for some reason. Why not? Tell me why. Maybe it needs some knives though. Nope. Okay. Apparently doesn't like that. Let me just try a line. Okay, so you see this line, still a gradient, and now these other options have appeared for me. And this is just kind of, it's harder to see in just a line. But this one you can see it made that gradient on the stroke versus being the line. See the difference? So you can play with that. You of course have your eyedropper as well, like that's here. You can pick whatever color. I don't have a lot of colors out here right now, but red. If I wanted this guy to be red, I could just eyedrop it. Okay, all that's pretty much the same. So one thing XD does not have, I'm gonna move this guy up, is mesh. So I'm gonna draw another thing. I'm just gonna make it black, and I'm gonna get rid of the stroke. By clicking this white box with the dash, you're getting rid of it. That's all that does. So I have my black box. On this left panel over here, you see this square with like some wavy lines in it. I'm gonna click that, and I'm gonna click once, and you can see it makes all these points. There's now points right here, 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 and in the middle. And I'm gonna make another one, just like over here. So now I have this grid thing going, and there's points all over the place.
Wait, how do you get off that thing? Because I made another square and it's another gradient.
Just go to your swatches and hit either the unfill it and just select the color.
Oh, okay.
Got it?
Got it.
Okay. And then go to this mesh tool and just kind of click twice, make a little grid. And then this is the mesh.
Oh, okay.
And then we're going to select these points individually and change the color to make this mesh. So to get there, I can't even remember which one it is at this point. The keyboard shortcut is A. If you hit the letter A on your keyboard, it will activate the direct selection tool, meaning like if I just draw over that little point, let me zoom in. I'm clicking that one only. So I'm gonna pick that one, and then I'm just gonna go over and like maybe make it red. So that's the only point now that is red. And obviously you can see the rest of them are still black. I'm gonna select the corner. I'm gonna make it yellow. I'm gonna select this guy in the middle and make it this green color. I'm gonna select that guy and make it white. Select this guy at the top. You can see I'm just picking point by point and I'm making this little gradient mesh is what it's called. And you can change all of them to be anything. Does that make sense how I did all that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So you can make your own gradients that way if you're like it's linear or radial just like isn't working out for you.
How did you get the lines, like the grid lines?
I just clicked. Just make a square and click your gradient mesh and just click once.
Oh, okay.
And then you can click as many times as you want. The more you click though, anything that interacts, it will draw a horizontal line and a vertical line to the edges of the shape. So it will make the grid in everything. So you can see it gets out of hand very fast. So if you wanna, let's say like, it works with any shape. Let's like draw just a polygon, just draw. So if I click my gradient mesh and I start clicking, you can see how it's kind of warping to that shape.
Gotcha.
And so now I clicked like 5 times and now I have like 100 points to change. So that you can do that too. I'm gonna delete that. So that is gradient mesh.
How do you just change the color and not keep putting the grid? Because I was trying to do it, but then I kept putting the grid on it and not just.
Oh, so that's another thing in Illustrator is like it will stay on the tool unless you tell it otherwise. So you have to hit one of the mouse, the main pointers. V is the shortcut for your regular selection tool, and A, the letter A on the keyboard is your shortcut for the direct selection tool.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's That was something I was gonna bring up later too, because that's like a real, you run into a lot of issues. Illustrator is just not that smart about it.
That happened to me when I used to use After Effects. It was so, because I had to like teach myself how to use it, and it was so frustrating because I couldn't change some things, and
Mhm.
it was just because I wasn't on like the mouse pointer thing.
Yeah. Oh, I'll show you something that it made me so frustrated whenever I was like learning all this. Anyway, okay, that is color books, that is gradients, that is mesh, and that's the eyedropper. Any questions on like color?
I'm like trying to change the color, but for some reason, what I see is black and white. I don't see the rest. I don't know where they went.
Black and white? You mean in like the swatches, or
In the swatches.
you can just make your own? Or you can go to the color books and just click a couple and it will add it automatically. So you can go
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
like, okay. Okay. So now, okay, so we kind of did shapes. The star tool is kind of fun. So if you just click star tool and you just drag, not clicking anything else, it's gonna give you this. And it's kind of a not totally, it's one of those like fatter stars, if you will. But if you're drawing this, I still haven't let go, and you hold shift, or what is that, command? Hold mine is command, but I think it's control on a PC. It will keep the whatever point as it is, and you can kind of play with it. So you can do that. Another thing with stars is if you don't draw and you just click, you can tell it how many points you want it to have. So I can do like 20. Radius one is going to be your
Wow.
point. So I think it's like 10. I don't know. Let's just make it like big. And then we'll say like 3. There you go. That's my crazy star. So you can tell it what you want. And neon stars. And it will default to what you did last. So I just made that really fun. Polygon is the same. If you just click, you can tell it how many sides you want and how big. Doesn't matter. So there we go. Fun stuff, yes. Same thing for all the shapes. If you just click, you can pick the size you want. And of course, whenever you're drawing things, you can be like totally free about it, or you can hold shift and that will keep it symmetrical. What's the word? Like equal, like a perfect whatever. So you can do that. Okay, so let's say that I wanted a triangle. Triangle's not an option here. So you have options. You can do the polygon thing. You can click and you can say, I need a triangle. That is 3 sides. There you go. There's a triangle. Cool. The other way you could do, if you're like, oh, I don't really like that angle of a triangle, I want like a different kind of shape, you can draw a square. And I'm going to hold shift because I do want it to be a perfect square. Maybe I'll pick a different color. So there's my perfect square. And so I just need to like delete that little guy, delete the corner, and then it will turn into a triangle, right? So I'm going to, gosh, I use way too many keyboard shortcuts. It is the, I will get there. Pen tool. So this guy, top left, you can see this pen tool. Click and hold it, and you'll see you get options here. So right now we want to delete the anchor point tool. You can also get there by pressing minus. And you can see now my cursor has turned into a little pen with a minus sign. And I'm just going to click a corner, any corner, doesn't matter. And there you go. It deleted it, but it's still a full shape. If I wanted to change it to like a stroke or something, if I want it to be like a white fill with a black stroke, you can hit this arrow over here on the left, or you can hit Shift X. That's the shortcut I use a lot. Shift X will just flip your fill and your stroke. Makes sense? So that's something. And then say it's like, I really want like a super unique shape. So now I want to add an anchor point. So again, go to your pen tool, you're gonna hit add anchor point or hit the plus sign. And then, zoom in. So now I'm here, I have my plus, I have my triangle. I'm gonna just click anywhere on the line that you want, and you can see it added a point, and I'm gonna click one over here too. Then I'm gonna go back to my direct selection tool, which is the letter A or this top one up here. And I'm just gonna click that point and move it. And now I have this funky shape. So you can do that. You can move any shape with that, the direct selection tool. You can do whatever you want with it. Makes sense? So that's how you can draw a lot of things, just by adding and moving anchor points, if that's how you want to do it. That is a totally valid way to do it. So now, outline. Okay, so now we're gonna do words. So whatever, just move all that out of the way. Now we're gonna type something. So hit your text tool, which is the T, just click it. If you click and hold, you can see all the options you get. We'll get there. Right now, we just want to type. We just want to type. So type something, get your selection tool, which is just your mouse. You can make it bigger, hold shift as you size it. And then over here, I have the characters on the left, but also at the top, you can see your font selections. Let's use Tahoe because we like that one. You can change your size. You can change all of this stuff over here, make it all caps, make it little caps. I can't remember what that's called right now. Capital case, something like that. All of those things you can do. You can underline it, strike through it. There, let's make it red.
Okay, how did you open that that screen?
The character,
Yeah.
it's in Window, under Type, and then Character.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's fun. I like that. But I think it would be cool if it looked different. So I think I want to like arc it maybe a little bit. I want it to look like a rainbow. So if you have it open, you make sure you have your window appearance open.
Okay.
Mine is down here at the bottom. Get rid of this now.
It keeps closing it. Is it supposed to always stay open or?
Okay, so if you, here, fair point. So what don't I have open right now? So attributes, if I click that, it kind of pops up over here in nowhere land. That's how yours is right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so click that and just whatever you have over here, you can see if I'm hovering, it gets a little blue glow. And so like if I want it maybe under this, I'll just hover it down there and let it go. And now it's in that panel and it will stay there.
Oh, okay.
And so the same thing like with these are just icons, but if I hit that double arrow at the top, it will fully expand them, but then it like takes up half my screen. And so I don't like that. So I just keep it as the icons, but I use these the most. So I keep those expanded. But if I wanted those to just be icons, I could close it as well.
Oh, okay.
So you can customize this however you want. And then whatever you like, get it how you want it. And then you can make a new workspace and just name it like Anna's workspace. And then it will show up here. Anytime you're in your like Adobe ID.
Okay.
So do you have something typed?
Yes, I do. I want ice cream.
Okay. Okay, we'll make an ice cream cone later then. All right.
Oh.
So we got our type. Go to your appearance panel, and at the bottom where you see the FX, just click that, and you can see you have a million options to play with. What we're going to do right now is we're going to warp it. And right now, it doesn't matter what you pick, so just pick one. And you can see it's already kind of bulged it for me. But here you can kind of see what each of those words mean. So like arc, we'll arc it like that. Arc lower, we'll keep the top line the same, but arc the bottom. And arch will arch it, which is different from arc because arch will keep your edges straight. Arc will angle them out. So you can, you know, same like flag. I don't know, flag is fun. You can play around, you can pick whatever you like.
I don't know why, but when I'm on warp, it doesn't like give me the option. It's not I don't know how to explain. It's like I can't click on it. Like I can't click on wave or flag or shell or bulge or.
You can't click. You have your type selected.
I selected it. I switched to the regular tool and I selected the type, and then when I press FX, I go to warp and it's not able to like let me do it. I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
Yeah. Okay.
Try just do a rectangle and do the same thing. Go to FX, warp, and just pick one. See if that lets you do it.
Okay. Warp. Oh yeah, now with the rectangle it does. I don't know why it didn't with the type.
I don't know either, but I'm gonna Google that later. Very weird. Okay, well now that you're here, you can kind of see the options. You can play with them. You can change the bend, so like you can kind of click and see how that would move. Horizontal and vertical, you can see how it would change. Sometimes you can get kind of weird. So maybe it's not best to play with it too much, but it can be fun. I don't know. Kind of like, I like that. That looks fun. I'm gonna stick with that and I'm gonna say okay. But you can do that with anything. In fact, so do you have your assets? Go ahead. One of the assets was a ribbon set, just an image. Just drag that baby in and then make it smaller. You can move it over and just resize it by holding shift. Or at the top, you can see there's numbers. Make sure that link is set to keep it proportional. And you can just make it like 3 inches, like just make it small, make it go away. And there we go. Now we have ribbons. And we're gonna make one. How about that? But we're not gonna be so fancy about it. So we're gonna make this top middle one. We're gonna make it and then I'm gonna show you why you didn't have to do any of what I'm about to show you. So this is here. You can see it is a rectangle, so we're just gonna kind of trace over it. You can see also this doesn't exactly line up, so it's probably arced or arched. So we're gonna do that. Warp, arch, I think it is. Ooh, gonna fix my settings. Back to 0. If I knew how to count. And then, I don't know, just arch it like, 15 looks good to me. So I'm gonna do that. And now I need to make this shape. And I'm gonna do that because you saw how we did that triangle, right? And I made a shape that basically looks like that. So I'm gonna make a square. And it's not gonna look like it right now. But I'm gonna make this square. And all I'm gonna do, instead of making it a triangle and adding all those points, I'm going to just add 1 point. So hit your pen tool, your add anchor point tool, you can hit the plus sign. And on the right line right here, I'm just gonna go to the middle and you can kind of see that pink line show up when I hit the middle. And I'm just gonna add an anchor point right there. And then I'm gonna get my direct selection tool by hitting the letter A. I'm gonna click it and just move it in. And I think that looks wonderful. So wonderful, in fact, that I'm just gonna copy it. And you can do the same thing, is hold Option or Alt and just drag it. And then you can, just like rotate it. Or you can go to, or you can just right click, go to transform and then reflect. And then you can choose whether you want to flip that way, if you want an angle, all this stuff. I just want it flipped. So, okay, that's what I want. And it flips it for me. And that's lovely. And so I'm gonna move these out of the way for a minute. So you can see both of these are also kind of angled. So to do that, I'm gonna group these. So I'm gonna click both of them. You can right click and just say group. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna warp the group. So with the group selected, I'm gonna go back to my effects. Gonna
Can you
warp.
also like Command G for group, or
Yeah.
do you have to, okay.
Yep. I think I arched, so I'm gonna do that. 15 looks, I don't know, good to me, so just gonna do that. Matches my other thing. And cool, that looks good for me. I think I want my shapes a little more in. I want them to be like where those are. So in my layers panel now, you can see the group. You can see everything we've done, all the mess we've created. But this is our group, so I'm gonna open that group. I'm just gonna pick one, it doesn't really matter right now, and just move it in. And you can kind of see how that warp changes as I move it closer. You see, so the warp is smart. It's keeping track of where it is. And then I'm gonna select the other one and move it in. And then I'm gonna select my full group and move it up. But now you're like, oh, I can't see it. What do we do? Okay, so we're gonna change the color a little bit. Keep the color you have, just make it a little darker. Like, just like a wee bit darker. And there you go. That's kind of what it is. Now we're gonna make it actually look better. So that part needs to be behind. So we're just gonna drag it down in the layers panel. So now that's in front. And all of these ribbons have that little white kind of separator thing going on. So we're just gonna do that. We're gonna select this top shape and give it a white stroke. And I think that's huge. So I'm gonna make it like 0.5. And then I'm gonna move this guy out of the way and bam, looks like a ribbon, yeah?
Wow. Yeah.
Okay,
Beautiful.
it was beautiful. It's the best ribbon ever. So now I'm gonna show you why we didn't need to do that. Because this is an image. It's not editable. It's not a vector, but it could be. It could be very easily. So I have this selected, and at the top you can see embed, edit, all these things. Yes? So you can crop it if you want. What we're gonna do is hit this image trace. And there's an arrow for options. We're not even gonna do that. Just hit it. And give it a minute. It made this all a vector.
Oh.
It literally just did that for you. So I like it. I think that came out pretty good, you know? I'm gonna hit expand at the top. Okay, now there it is. You can see now in my layers, it made a group. So if I open that group up, you can see it made all these paths for me. You can also see there's a big white box around it, and I don't think I want that. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna select everything white. I'm going to use my magic wand, which of course I don't know where it is on this thing. Oh, right here, right under the mouse. Your little magic wand, I'm gonna click it. I'm gonna select just out here in the open. Just select, and you can see it's got a fill of white selected. And I'm just gonna hit delete. And it's gonna go away, and you're not even gonna see it because it's gone. But if I were to change the color, you would see that's what it's deleting. I'm just fully deleting it. And then I'm gonna ungroup it because I don't want all those together. I'm gonna group the ones that I want, like each individual ribbon. But now you can see there's the ribbon we just created versus the one that we totally cheated. And if you want to change the colors of that, you can just find it in your group or you can change it all together. It's totally editable. And that was super easy, yeah? And you can do that with all of them now. That one's red. They're all editable. So that is how you cheat by making icons.
Nice.
Uh-huh. So that one's pretty fun. What are we doing? What are we doing? Okay, here's one. So we just made this insane art thing. We're gonna, let's say that's my shape. All right, I'm gonna make it a stroke instead of a fill. So you can do that by clicking over here. Let's make it just like black so it's clear. And I'm gonna get rid of the fill. You can see when you click it though, oh gosh, that the outline box doesn't totally understand. It thinks it's still a rectangle. So what we're gonna do is I want it to be that shape. So I'm going to expand it. I'm gonna go up at the top to Object and Expand Appearance. So that means anything in this appearance panel is going to become what it is. It's not editable anymore. So I'm gonna expand it. And you can see that shape is now, you can't go back to the box. It's gone, box is gone, this is what you got, which is what we want. So now I want to put some words in here on that line. So I'm gonna go to my type, hold, click and hold. We're gonna go to type on a path. This is a path. We're going to type on it. So that is the one I want. Click that and click your line. And it gets crazy.
Ooh.
I don't want it to maybe be that crazy. Got some Avenir. Let's go like 21. All right. This is. All right, and that is not where I wanted it, right? But that's where it put it. That's what it thought I wanted. I'm gonna tell it why it's wrong. So I'm gonna hit again my direct selection tool, hit the letter A. You can see all these lines appear. There's one over here, and there's two right here. This one is to, oh gosh, don't hit the second one. This is telling me where it's starting, and this is to flip it. And it's very finicky. But you can see how I'm moving it. Anything can happen with this guy. So go slow. That's where I want it. That's right about there. So you can flip it, you can move it, you can change it. And now I want it big. And there it is. It eliminated the stroke once you added text. So if you want it, you can still, I think once you add it, it will add it to the text. So if you wanted to keep that stroke, you should copy it and then add your text. Make sense? So that works with like any stroke, any line you wanted. So, okay, we did shapes, we did star, we did click, we did size, we did appearance, we did warps. We haven't done glyphs. Okay, so take that fun thing you just made, and you probably maybe don't have this panel. So go make sure you have window, go to type and glyphs. That's what we're gonna play with right now. Glyphs are those symbols that are not on your keyboard, like copyright. Of course, we have all the dollar signs, but like registered, all of these symbols, the bullet, you're like, can't remember what it's called, an apple, random symbols. Every font has its own glyphs. So there's one specific that I like that you can use for icons, and it's called Font Awesome, and apparently I don't have it installed, so that's inconvenient. But there's a bunch. Like if you just click on a font, you can see, and you double click to add it. So make sure you have your type selected, or like your arrow key where you want it, and just double click. And now you have a bullet, or copyright, or squigglies, or whatever. But that's how you can add shapes. And then say, let's say that was all I wanted. I just wanted like an icon of an apple. And now I want to outline this because I can't just use it as text. I need it in a vector form. So all I'm going to do, you can either right click and hit create outlines, or it's just Command Shift O? Okay, it's Command Shift O for outline. And it's outlined my text. Now it is not editable as text. I can't change the words, but now I have an apple. So that is something you can do. Outlining text is mostly helpful in like print, to where if you like send it to a printer and they don't have the font installed, if you outline it, that's not an issue because it's not a font anymore. Okay, click and size. We added anchor points. Okay, so take your apple if you added it, or take something, whatever you have. And I think I would like to give it a shadow. I think the apple, it's sunny out. So I'm gonna copy the apple. I'm just gonna Alt drag or Option drag. And I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna reflect it. So transform, reflect, except I want to flip it horizontal. So it kind of looks like a shadow, yeah. And then I'm going to change the opacity. I'm just gonna bring it on down. I don't know, 19 sounds fine. Cool. That's kind of a shadow. Yeah, no, not really. So we're gonna make it look a little better. Shadows are kind of fuzzy, so we're gonna feather it. So you're gonna go with that selected, go to your effects, gonna go to stylize, and then feather. And here, if you have your preview box selected, you can kind of see what it did already, and you can make that big.
Looks like the Mac apple.
Exactly. We just totally ripped it off. But I don't know what I want. Like, all right, that works for me. Just pick a number, make it a little fuzzy. All right, so there's that. But now, like, what if, just gonna draw for a minute, what if the sun's over here? The shadow wouldn't be underneath it, right? So we need to make it look like that's real. So we're gonna shear it. So select it. And then on your panel, maybe on the left, I'm not sure where yours is. And I'm not even sure which one it is. Okay, this little 2 square thingy going on, you're gonna select shear. Did you find that one? Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this tool is kind of finicky. It's one where you want to be further away. So I have it selected, but I'm going to bring my mouse way down to the bottom. And since I want it to be, I want the shadow to be an angle of the sun, right? I want it to go left. So I'm going to start on the right. So you can kind of see where my mouse is in regards to this thing. I'm going to click and I'm just going to pull it left. And I don't know, maybe that looks accurate. And then of course you'll need to like reposition it. You can resize it if you want. But now that looks like a real shadow, sort of. But you can shear stuff. That's mostly good for shadows. You can do other weird stuff with it. Like say you wanted to shear the sun, our lovely little sun. I will hit shear. Here, I'll show you what it does if you're close to it. It kind of gets real funky, like it gets real fidgety on you. It still does what you want. It's just a little out there. If you're further away, you kind of have more control. So sometimes. Anyway, that's shear. Can play with it. The other things in here is like reshape and scale. Scale is it's scale. Like you can resize anything. So I don't play with that one much. Okay. So draw a shape, any shape, and give it a stroke. I'm gonna use black, and I want it to be big, so 3. So if you're like, hey, that's cool, but like, can it be better? Yes, it can. At the top, you will see, you can pick the size, you can pick the color, you can pick the shape of your stroke. So these are kind of your standard ones that you can pick from. You can select whatever it's your fancy. I'm gonna do that for now. And then you can pick a style. And this is where it gets fun. So just like there were color books over here, you have stroke kind of brushes here in the books. So just go to anything and just pick one, and it will open up a new little window for you. And just make it big. And we're gonna play around. So you can pick whatever you want. You can see it change right away. if you use the left and right arrows, you can see you can even pick like crazy things. There's all these like patterns that already exist for you. Arrows, all the things, really like decorative arrows, which probably isn't great for like a square, but, and then also like these charcoal things if you want some like grunginess.
Where did you get that option for that stroke? I'm trying to.
Go to up here at the very top, and there's a little books icon. Click the books, and you can pick any of these. Just go to like, I don't know, borders,
Oh, got it.
and then it will pop open this window, and you can just go left and right arrows, and kind of see what's all there. You can get these like ink ones that are kind of fun. All of these, and then if you get far enough in here, it gets you like some real stuff here. I'm sure there's a time and place for it. I haven't found it yet, but all of that is there for you to use as you would like. Okay, so that's an option. I'm just gonna go back to like a totally boring, normal, basic stroke for this, and I'm gonna make it big to show you guys something else. So another thing you can do if you're like, yeah, all of those are a little crazy, and these guys just aren't giving me what I want. You can just kind of change it how you want it. So on the left panel again, there's this little weird looking shape right here. It's called the width tool. It's got a lot of other stuff under it, but the width tool is what we want right now. So I'm gonna click that, and this only works on strokes. And you can kind of see this little diamond thing that's like got on the glowing line. Just click like wherever and just make it bigger. And if I want this one to be smaller, you can see I can drag it however I want. Corner, maybe I want to be big. But you can, this can be anywhere, any size. You can change it however you want. And as many times as you want. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of spiffy. You can play with that. That looks really bad, but that's what you can do with it. Another thing with lines, I'm just gonna go over here to blank space, is the grid tool. So there's your line, that's where you can draw lines. But if you click and hold, you can also draw arcs. You can draw spirals. Oh my gosh, it's loud.
What was?
Huh? My brother-in-law's remodeling my bathroom.
Oh.
All right. Okay. Hang on. All right, click grid. I wonder if I can mute it. Anyway, okay, click grid. Click and draw. We're gonna talk through this. I hope y'all can hear me. Okay, maybe. Board. Okay. You can draw grids. Okay, but if you, I'm gonna delete it. If you click and hold, hit your left and right and up and down arrows, and just, it will, you can change the amount of your grid, the size of your grid, the rows and columns, all of that. You can, you know, resize it like that. So up and down, left and right, while you're holding it, we'll change that. Make sense? I feel like I have to talk fast now. So anyway, that, oh my God. Okay, same thing for the polar grid. It's gonna be the same thing for a circle. You can add, you can eliminate, that's how you make pizza. And you can add less slices, more slices, left and right, up and down. We'll add and remove. So that is helpful for things. Make sense?
Wait, how do you add it? Add the slices, sorry.
Left and right, up and down.
Left and right, up and down.
And you can just play with what each is doing. The spiral is the same, I think. If you hit up, it will add to like the little spiral. And that's about it. All you can do is go deeper, the bigger you make it. So that's that. Arc is just an arc. I don't know. I don't use it because I just use the pen tool. Okay, we did that. All right, so now we're on the pen tool. Pen tool's fun. Pen tool's very fun. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna trace a guy. So also in the assets, there was this dude, this lovely little bald man. We're gonna drag him in. There he is. He's so happy. So click him there, and then we're gonna lock it just so we don't mess it up. So in your layers panel, right next to the eyeball, just hit in that blank space and we're just gonna lock it. So now he won't move, I can't grab him. Cool. So, pen tool. You can hit P and that will open your pen tool. The pen tool's fun. So if you click and you just click and you're not holding anything, you can just make lines and then connect it, and now you have a shape and you can give it a fill. All right, so that is at its most basic. You can draw shapes. If you want to get fancy, you can click, drag, click again and like pull, and you can add these curves. However you want. If you hold shift, it will keep that line at a specified angle. It will not let you just go full crazy. It's going to be set. So click and drag, and then you can see where it's going next. Let's say I want to go down here, so I'll click and I can drag again. So now I'm making this like weird peanut thing. There we go. There's my peanut shape that I just made. So that's kind of how the pen tool works. It takes practice, and actually the best way to do it is something like this. So if you just Google pen tool tracing tests, you get something like this. And that kind of helps you. If I just drag it in. How it just helps. It helps because the pen tool is weird. So like for this guy, obviously it's just like clicking. Of course I have my fill on. But there it is, I did that. Now this guy, I'm gonna click, try to make the arch, but you can see it's not exact. So if I was gonna start over, I would click and drag, maybe one way, and then click and drag again. And then I would go back, and you can tweak all of these after you do them. So
I could only click and make the line. How do you make the arch thing? How do you
click, well, you have to click once and then click again and drag.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can click, the first click is what is like messes you up in your head because you're like, which way is it going if you don't know. So that is how you do that. If you want to do something like this, where you're not just kind of continuing, so you're gonna do like the same thing. I'll just click the other way, click over here, drag, and then if I want to start fresh, if I don't want it to continue, I'll just click the same point.
Well, this is hard to get used to. It's like,
it takes a lot of practice. That's why I kind of am like, use these tests just to practice, because it's kind of hard to know where the heck you're going. And so I'll just show you this. But for those crop out photos that we're doing, this is how I've been doing it. So I would just draw this line, and I'll make it in like his armpit gap so y'all can see. Whatever, click right here. I have him locked. I'm gonna lock this line also because I don't want it to move. And then I'm gonna change mine to like yellow so you guys can see what I'm doing. So now I'm just gonna trace on that line, and I'm gonna trace him out. Literally, just gonna use the pen tool, draw around his lovely little body. Something like that. I'm gonna do basic, but y'all can get the point. So that's where his arm ends. I'm gonna trace them up his arm this way. Okay, so that's his body. And I'm just gonna finish tracing and connect my circle. And then I'm gonna just get rid of that red line. I'm going to unlock him. And now I have this lovely little stroke thing going on. I'm gonna select that and then shift click the image, and I'm gonna make a clipping mask. So I'll right click with them both selected and say make clipping mask. And there you go, it cropped all that out to whatever was inside my shape. And then, you know, you can draw any shape or whatever and like make sure it worked, like give it a fill, drag it underneath him, and you can see it's all gone. Makes sense? The pencil takes a lot to get used to, but that's something you can do with it. You can literally draw anything with it. You could also, for like those ribbons we did, you can just trace them with the pen tool even. That's how you make them. So for like that guy, I'll just do one and I'm gonna lock it so it doesn't annoy me. Because if you lock it, you can click multiple paths and it just gets messy. So I have my pen tool and I'm just gonna trace it. So like this is helpful if you find an image that doesn't trace, like image trace as nicely as these ribbons did, and but you want it. There you go, I just drew that. Like, okay. So the other one I had was this icon set. Just drag that guy in. And since these are all black and white, usually the image trace thing works really well with high contrast. So anything black and white is probably going to work, but you can see there's like a couple watermarks here, and those might turn out a little weird. And especially all of this stuff down at the bottom. So I'm just going to hit it and see what happens. Image trace. And you can see, like you can see what it did to the words. It just totally annihilates them. Everything else doesn't look that bad. So if I expand it, I'm going to use my magic wand again to select the white and get rid of it and ungroup it. You can see these kind of came out weird too. So the image trace, like that dollar sign, is not a dollar sign anymore. It has issues with letters and small details. Like even this one right here. That was probably a straight line before, and that X looks super wonky. So it's not perfect. So you're gonna have to fix some things, but in general, that's a pretty good cheat to get all of these icons. Makes sense. And then, like I said, like if it doesn't work, you can trace them with the pen tool once you have that figured out. Something else you can do in here is make graphs. So on the left, there's a graph. You can click and hold, and you can see all the different kinds you can do. I don't know, let's do like a pie graph. That'd be fun. So I have pie graph. I'm gonna draw, that's where I want it to be. And then you enter your data. And I always get confused with like where it should be. If it's, because you can go both ways. 30, 30. Okay. And then 30, what is math? 10. Okay, there we go. There's my pie. I added data there. It is, it made it for me. Spiffy, yeah? All right, I'm gonna get rid of it. There it is, beautiful. Make something different, like a bar graph. You can see it's like defaulting to all the things I just did. I'm trying to think, if I go the wrong way. I don't really get the stacking of like what it does. But anyway, you can add like as many as you want and hit the check mark, and then it will show you what you've done. See? I don't use it too much, but that's what it is. And then if you wanted to like change the font, you can pick those, change the font, change the color, all the good stuff. Yeah. Spiffy. Okay, we did icons by cheating. We did clipping masks. Another kind of thing you can do with clipping masks. So you know how we did in XD, just like the photo, putting something inside photos. You can do that here too. So if I make it like really heavy, big, I'm going to outline it so to make it a thing. And then right now, this is just a group. This is a group of 4 compound paths. I want this to be 1 compound path. And the difference is going to be how that shape takes other things. So like a gradient. All of these are black right now. If I click gradient, you can see the gradient is applied to each individual shape versus if I wanted to go across the whole thing. So I have this selected, the shortcut. So you can go to Object, Compound Path, Make, and then make it that. And now it's going across the whole thing. Oh my God, it's so loud. Oh my God. Okay. Makes sense. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, you're perfect.
Oh my God. All right. Draw a square. Make it black. We're gonna draw a bunch of squares. Oh man. All right. So say you made this grid and
I only have the rectangle tool. I don't have the square tool.
you don't have a square tool?
Yeah, how do you do the squares? I only see like the rectangle and.
Oh, yeah, it is the rectangle. Just whenever you draw it, hold shift.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just hold shift. So say, I mean, you can do rectangles. You can do whatever shape you want. So say you did all of this and now you're like, oh man, this is way too big. I need these squares to be smaller. You can resize them all 1 by 1 if you want. Say maybe they're like super in like a very specific way. Let's say they're like this, and resizing them and reordering them would just be such a pain. There's an easier way. So select all of them, and then you're going to go to Object, Transform, Transform Each. So this is going to be whatever you're doing, it's going to do to each of these and not as a group. So if I need to make them smaller, I could do that. If I wanted to keep it equal, I would pick the same number. Like if I wanted them to be half the size, I would just type that. And now it's transforming each of them. If I wanted to rotate it all like 45 degrees, I could do that. If I wanted to transform them randomly, I would hit this random checkbox, and that kind of just does whatever it wants for me. And that's kind of spiffy. Changes with everything you do to make it kind of look good. So that's fun. You can do that. Then okay, now I have these random blocks and stuff. But you can play with that. I use that a bit. Okay, we did that. We did a ribbon. Really, the last hard thing is 3D. So take one of your squares. God, I'm afraid noise is coming. All right, take your square. You're going to go to Effects, and you're going to go to 3D at the top. And for the square, we're going to do Extrude and Bevel. And you can see it's already started. Actually, I'm going to change mine to not black and do like green, something annoying. 3D, Extrude and Bevel. Okay, so now you can see it's already done it. I'm going to hit more options. You can see more details. So the depth right now is at 50. If I make it bigger, you can see it's changing. I don't know. Let's do like a little chip or something. So you can either change the numbers right here. So say it's like 10, it's now tilting up, negative 40, it's turning, and 34 is tilting it that way. Or you can just click and drag this guy to position it how you want it. Make sense? Oops. And then I don't mess with this really too much. You can do like wireframing or no shading, but then it just looks like a blob. Plastic shading is kind of the most common, and you can change where the light is coming from also. So like how the shadows go on each surface. So you can play with that.
How do I take off the stroke? So my square has stroke, and then I guess it has a whole bunch of lines now that I did the 3D.
So just hit OK, and then in your swatches you can just get rid of it.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, you can't change it in there. You need it. But then, so once you have it there, once you hit OK, it's going to be there. And so it's like, say you do this and then you make some other stuff and you realize that like, yeah, that's probably not the right angle. You can just click it and it will take you right back there to all the settings that you just had. And then you can edit it again. So there's that. I think the stroke does weird things too. Yeah, a little bit. Okay, so that's that. Grab another guy. And this is a fun one. So now we're gonna color it using the appearance panel. And you're like, yeah, okay, we know how to color stuff. Okay, I know, but watch. So this is a black fill right now. That's what it says. It says fill black, opacity default. That's cool. We're gonna add a stroke. So I'm just gonna click that box and then pick a color here. I will pick blue and I'm gonna make it, I don't know, like set 6 or something. But you can see right now also this stroke is bordering that line. We kind of talked about this last time, but you can see it's like where it's straddling both versus inside versus outside. That's fine. I'll keep it like that. But I want the fill on top because I'm going to do some weird stuff. So I'm just going to drag the fill on top and you can see how that changed. Just a little, but you can see. So I want to add like another stroke. So at the bottom here, go ahead.
How do you make the stroke thicker again?
Just click it and then you'll get these up down arrows.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So make sure you still have your shape selected, and then at the bottom, the outline is a stroke and the solid thing is a fill. I want to add another stroke. So click that. It automatically puts it on top, but I want it on the bottom. So I'm going to drag it down and it makes it the same as what it was. And I don't want it the same as what it was. I'm just going to pick another color, like another random color like yellow. And then I'm going to make it bigger. And you can see it's adding a stroke now behind that one. And I want another stroke. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to add another stroke. I'm going to send it to the bottom. I'm going to make this one pink. And I'm going to make it bigger. And then I'm going to add another stroke. And I'm going to put it on the bottom. And I'm going to change color. And I'm going to make it bigger. So you can see how this can get out of control and very fun, very quick. But it can also be very classy. In the instance of specifically college football. I think it's called college. There's some athletic font that like is used all the time, but doesn't matter right now. You can do this to type too. So football jerseys, it's like, this used to be my first job, is strokes and fills. So I have my fill. I'm going to drag my stroke under it. I'm going to make it red. Just like too classy. I'm going to add another stroke. And I want this one to kind of act as like a gap. So I'm going to make it white. And you won't be able to see it, and that's fine. But I'm going to make it like 5. Then I'm going to add another stroke. And I'm going to add it to the bottom, and I will make it black. You can see now how this is kind of looking like a jersey sort of thing. Or at least it sort of does. And you can change all of these individually. But so that's a fun like text effect you can do with type. Does that make sense? You can
Yeah.
you can add as many strokes as you want. But you can also see like, here, I'll just keep adding them till it gets weird. Like orange. How like they kind of start blending together, obviously. Like that white right there is getting cut off right here. Sometimes that can get really funky depending on like the type you're using. But you just gotta play with it. Okay. There you go. Now it could be like a sticker. Whatever. Let me think if there's anything else. That's really the main stuff that I use. You can, I'll show you some other stuff. Pick another square. And you're gonna go to that width tool, but you're gonna click and hold. And like, I don't know, let's pick twirl. And you can see the size of it right here. If you, I don't even know how to change the size of it. It's the little bracket on your keyboard. I think, maybe not. Maybe that's Photoshop. I'm mixing them all up. I don't know how you change the size of this. But anyway, just click and hold and it will swirl it. I'm sure there's a time and place for that. I only do it for fun. Another one of those things under here, if you click and hold again, the width tool is the Scallop tool. And if you just drag it along the edges, you can see it doing things. And then you let go and it has made a mess of it. Maybe there's a time and place for that. I don't know. Here's another shape. Make it blue. We'll go to wrinkle. Again, you just kind of drag it over it. It's doing things. There you go. Why would you do this? I don't know. It's just fun to play with sometimes. I know there's something else. I will get there. Bloat. I'm sure there's a reason for these existing. What else, what else, what else? I know there's something I'm forgetting to tell you guys. Symbols. I mean, Pathfinder, we kind of went over. In XD, it's all the same. If you click two, you can unite them. You can, you know, divide them. You can unite them, divide them, take the intersection, exclude it. All of that stuff you can do. There. Align is align. Do y'all know align? You can align things. So, all right, there's my square. I'm gonna draw many more squares and I'm gonna space them horribly. And I will change the color so you can see them. Move that up, move that down, this will be blue. All right, so cool, I have these squares, but I would like them to be aligned. So you just click them and I want them in a line like that. And then I think I'll space them equally apart. And if I want them further apart, I'll do that and it will space them for me. And it's great. That's a line. Let me think. Y'all have like played with opacity, right? In here, it's in the appearance panel. So you select fill, select opacity, and you have all the same options like multiply. You can change it there. Just that's kind of the same in every Adobe program, I feel like. So any questions so far?
No.
I guess that's the basics. Let me do all that. Pen tool, yep, points, all that. All smooth tool. Okay, so if you hit like the paintbrush, this is just like a fun, I like it sometimes if I'm being like less structured. But if you just draw, you can see it's giving you a little path. it will just do that. But say, actually, let's find an icon. Let's go to one of these guys. So this made up points for us. I'm gonna go to this gear because it looks crazy. You can see all the anchor points, yeah? Like all here, 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 here. Obviously it did not trace this well because it's very wonky. But say I just wanna like smooth all that out. So under that circle in this pen thing, I'm gonna hit smooth tool. Hit your smooth tool. You have to select your object again, it's very annoying. Select your smooth tool again and just drag over it. And it can be like rough, you can just kind of click and drag. But you can see it's changing the anchor points a little bit. It's smoothing it out at things. Because it's like, oh, these anchor points are ridiculous, I'll fix it. You can see, sometimes that helps on certain things. If it's like jagged. Oh, I know what I want to show you guys. So that's the smooth tool. Another thing you can do, we're gonna play with the apple. I'm gonna play with the apple. Okay, so I have my apple. In the appearance panel, give it a stroke. Give it any kind of, I'll use red. So there I go, I have my red stroke apple. I'm gonna go to effects. I'm gonna go to distort and transform. And I'm gonna go zigzag. And it will zigzag it and it will be crazy. But you can see how I'm doing this effect to the stroke. And so it's making it crazy looking. It's zigzagging it. You can do that. That's something you can do to your apple if you really wanted to. I'm gonna get rid of it. So I'm gonna hit stroke. I'm gonna select stroke in the appearance panel. I'm gonna go to effects. I'm gonna go to distort and transform again, and then I'm gonna go to like roughen. Just gonna roughen it up. So apparently that one I had the whole object selected. Here I'm just selecting the stroke. So my apple, the black apple, is staying the same, and the stroke is now having a seizure and doing what I tell it to basically. But so you can roughen it. Sometimes you would use that. Say I didn't like it anymore. You can just drag, you can click the roughen and just drag it to the trash can and it will go away. Say exact opposite. I wanted to now mess with the apple. I'll select the fill. Go to distort and transform. And I'll go to twist. So here, all it is an angle. And I'm just gonna click up. You can see it twisting it now. There you go. Now it's avant-garde. There's so many things you can do. That's another thing. The appearance panel has a lot in it. If you go to stylize, that's where you do your drop shadows, your feathers, your glows, all that stuff. Pathfinder, you have the Pathfinder right here. I never use it. Oh, offset path. I'll show you that. Distort and transform does that. Crop marks doesn't do anything. Convert to shape, obviously we can make shapes. I don't use those. I use warp. And then these I don't use. These Photoshop effects, it slows your computer down so much. Just don't do it. If you need to do any of this, do it in Photoshop. Don't do it in Illustrator. No. Okay. Offset path is a cool one. Oh God, I have so many shapes. Okay, I'm gonna go up here. All right, draw a shape. We're gonna do a thing. All right, we're gonna make something now. So draw a circle and give it a fill. No stroke. Fill, no stroke. We're gonna do pink. Now, I want to copy the circle in the same place, but I want it to shrink. And I can do all of that in one step, and that's offset path. So with your circle selected, go to Object, Path, Offset Path. You can see it's giving you kind of a glow of where that's going. I want this to go inward. So I'm gonna hit negative, and I want it to go in a lot more. So like 0.5. No, like way more. Yeah, like 0.5. So now you can see my circle. I'll change the shape. But you can see now that's the circle I just made. It's a brand new circle. I want to keep them aligned. Now what I want to do is I'm going to select them both and I'm going to get rid of the red circle by going to Pathfinder and minus front. So now I just have a pink circle with a hole in it. And that's very fun. And I'm actually going to copy it because I want to do two things with it. So I'm just going to make another one. Go to Effects, 3D, and then I think Revolve. Yeah. So Revolve is good for circles. And I'm going to...
Looks like a donut. I like it.
yeah. This one's like huge. Anyway, you can do crazy things with it depending on your view. But there's stuff happens. Okay, anyway, that looks cool. So there's that. And now you have it like a piece of PVC pipe. Okay, for this guy, let's say like we're making a bar graph. Let's say it's like I want to show percentages on this. I just want to be like cooler than your regular graph, which I made somewhere. So I'm gonna move that baby on up here. And we're just gonna copy the lines, sorta. I'll move it to the front. Move it to the front is, what did I just do? Command Shift bracket, the right bracket. But there's that. And I kind of don't really care about it. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw lines that kind of match this. And I don't really care. So click your line tool, just your normal line tool. I'm going to draw a line here. I'm going to draw a line here. And I'm going to draw a line there. And right here. And then I'm going to select all of that. And I'm going to divide it, which is this guy on the very left. I'm just going to hit that. And it made a group. And it looks weird right now. But if you open it up, you can see there's 4 pieces here, and that's exactly what I wanted. This guy, this little ghost, is invisible. It's literally a no fill, no stroke thing that gets created whenever you do something inside of something else. So like this was inside of a shape. So it's like it can't escape. It doesn't know what to do. It's just like, I'm here. I'm just here to mess your life up. So we're going to delete it. We don't like it. And then now you can select each of these shapes and change their color. And if you were like actually labeling things, you would type, I don't know, 33%. Label it, you know? Whatever math is, I don't do math. But there you go. Now you have a cool bar chart thing. Make sense. So like this is something I would do here, and if I wanted that, so for like our donate page where we wanted to show like, you know, where the money's going, what percent is going to what, I would probably make it in here and then just copy and paste it into XD.
There's actually a way to do it in Adobe XD that I've learned. I find that easier, but this is cool too.
You can. This is just more, I guess, more free in the like design elements of it. And so say like I wanted this group to like have a drop. I could make it, you know, 3D. I can give it a drop shadow. I can do whatever I want. There you go. Okay, I really think I've shown you guys everything. There's just so much you can do within all of that. And that's the part you just kind of got to play with. Yeah, anything else? Oh, any of this?
It was a lot of information. I definitely need to rewatch and practice.
A lot of
Yeah, same.
which is a lot of information. Symbols I don't really use. What else is there? like all of this, I mean, obviously you can use all of this stuff. So another thing on the image trace front. So I'll drag in my bald friend here. You can technically try to image trace him. That is a thing you could try to do. There's not great contrast on it. So if you want to see what just I'm just going to click it like we have been doing. I'm just going to click image trace. And that's what you get. That's how it chose to make him a vector, which is kind of cool and like abstract, but that doesn't really look like him. So I'm going to undo, and now I'm going to hit this arrow. And you can see this is how it could trace it. So it's like, is this a high fidelity photo? Do you want 3 colors? Do you want 6 colors? Do you want shades of gray? What is this? So let's try high fidelity photo and see what happens. It takes a lot of time for photos. Okay, there, did you see it change? That's it, it vectorized him. So I'm gonna hit expand. And you can see those are now all the anchor points that it gave me. And they're all editable. So if I zoom in, like on his eye, you can see all the paths it created. And you can edit those.
Wow.
If you would like to. I see, now I'm just selecting like this. I could make his eye move if I want. I could change the color of his eyes. I can do whatever I want. So it's not bad, yeah, but like there's a time and place for that. Didn't do a bad job.
Wait, so what's the difference between like this that it vectorized and it actually looks like him and the other way? Like what? Like sorry, I missed that. Like
just the clicking, just the normal clicking way.
yeah.
I'll show you. So this is the image. I just dragged it in again, and I'm just gonna hit image. Just hit image trace. That's what it gives me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then how do you make it so that it looks like him?
So I'm gonna undo. Oops. Undo. Okay, so now we're back to my image guy. What I did was I hit the drop down arrow next to it and I selected high fidelity photo. And that's how I got the one below. But let's try like 3 colors if I want it like a little more simplified. I don't know. I have no idea what's gonna happen. Let's see what happens. Because this thing has a mind of its own. I haven't figured it out yet. All I know is black and white usually turns out good.
So then the colors just make it, just make sure that it's not black and white? Oh.
So that's what it gave me when I hit 3 color. Which
Okay.
is cool, like in its own way. I don't know, expand it. What if I turned this blue? So like, I don't know where I got this blue, but I'm gonna hit my magic wand and select that blue color. And that will select all of that blue, and I'm gonna turn it white because his teeth are white, right? So like that could be a style. I don't know if that was something you wanted to go for. That's not bad, you know. It's kind of weird, but so that's something you can do. Kind of curious to see another one now. So here's my photo again. I'm gonna do drop down. Let's see if it gives me line art. And I don't think that will work well. But we'll see. Yeah, not so good. Usually, like image tracing, just to be able to click it, it really needs to have like high contrast. So I don't know. Okay, so let's try this guy. This is just like an image. I'm pulling it off Google. I'm gonna drag it in and I'm gonna see how it traces. And I'm going to move it off to the side. I'm just gonna click it and see what happens. So it did not work at all. You can see it kept that because that's in white, but the black and orange is not enough contrast for it to realize like I should trace that. Just on default. Now if I go to the drop down and I hit like 3 colors, maybe that would give me something better. Okay, so it did. I'll hit expand. And now if I wanted to like delete all that black, you can see now I have this as a vector. So it's all about kind of the settings, but usually for like icons and stuff, if you can find them in black and white and just trace them like that, it's pretty good. Anything else? It's a lot of stuff. Needed shapes. Flare tool I really don't use. Like it gets kind of crazy. There you go. Oh, there's a flare on him. I don't use it much. Rotate, reflect, I don't use those either. I just right click and do it. Blob. I don't use this grid. The grid is the most frustrating thing ever. I hate it. Mesh I use, grading I use, eyedropper I use. I don't really use. That's pretty much it. I say that's it. There's so much you can do with that. But any questions?
No, not right now.
Okay. Then that is all I have. I hope it was helpful, even if it's like more intimidating than it was helpful. This video.
No, it was really helpful. Thank you. And I'm glad this is recorded too, so I can go back to it.
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay. So I guess I'll stop recording. Maybe.